Well, thank you for coming. And then we're going to actually get started probably in a minute or two, right? Get yourself comfortable, relax, get your questions ready. This is a panel session, right? And then we do have some topics that we're going to actually share, right? And then, this is actually about you and our FastTrack Recognized Solution Architects. So thank you for coming, right? So I think 2:15, right? So let's get started right away. So, well, first of all, welcome. Right, welcome to this session about like architect's perspective, right? The FastTrack Recognized Solution Architects for customer engagements, right? So my name is Darren Liu, right? I'm the FastTrack lead for U.S. Central as well as Asia. So I have a team of solution architects, actually works with our partners and works with our customers on their implementation on our engagements, right? So I mean, right here in front of me is all the recognized solution architects for the first wave, right? So they've been actually partnering with us on all of our engagements, right, for the past year or more. So we have done a lot of, journey together, a lot of sweats, right, a lot of painful process that we're trying to actually solve for our customers together. So it's really an experience, that collective experience they actually gather here in the room. So, I'm going to actually get started. I'm going to actually introduce them, right, one by one later on. But I just want to actually talk about the FastTrack program a little bit, right? And also let everybody here, right, know about the FastTrack Recognized Architect program, right? Maybe raise your hand. How many of you are actually from a partner? Okay, a few. The rest of them, I assume, is going to be customer, right? So, okay, so you can actually learn about the FastTrack program, how we can actually partner with you on your engagements, right, together, okay? And then we're going to actually go to a panel session, a Q&As, and talk about some of the critical components on the project, okay? So a FastTrack organization, the FastTrack for Dynamics team is part of the engineering organization. So our team actually reports into James Phillips' organization, so we are a product group. So we have a team of solution architects worldwide, right, that is actually focused on customer engagements, focused on finance and operations, right, working with our largest customers in the world on their engagements. We're not actually replacing the partner into the engagement. We're collaborating with the partners, right, to actually make sure your engagement is really successful at the end, right? We want the customer to be successful. We want the partners to be successful, right, going through the entire customer engagement journey, right? So with that, that we have offer, right, working with our partners and customers, a set of workshops, right? Meaning that we're going to have solution reviews with our partners and customer, making sure that we're actually doing the right, architecture for the projects, right? And then we have follow-ups with our customers throughout the entire implementation to ensure every point at this customer engagement journey, right? Everything is actually checked and making sure the architecture is actually right for your entire engagement. So we can actually go live successfully on your engagements, right? Let's say if you're going to have a need on, hey, you know what, I'm in an area that is actually needs some help, right? For example, application lifecycle management, right? As a FastTrack organization, we offer some tech talks, right? We can actually work with you to offer you a tech talk. Hey, this is our best practice of actually doing application lifecycle management and more, right? That's what the FastTrack organization is. So FastTrack organization is a team under the product group, R&D, right? So we work with all partners, right, that you selected as a customer, right? So a little bit more about this, right? So I mean, throughout the entire engagement, we have a different workshops, different touch points, right, collaborating with you and your partner to make it really successful. We have kickoff workshops, we have SLU blueprint workshops, right? We have go live workshops, solution design reviews throughout the entire life cycle, right? So that's why we work with you as a partner and a customer on this journey. Right, so that's what really a FastTrack organization is, and then that's what we do. So with that said, right, we also work really closely together with our partners. Right, we want to enable our partners, right, are more capable, more knowledgeable to help our customers to do, right, the right architecture, the right project for our customers is really important. It's one of the charters for our organization. So what we do is we actually do offer partner architect boot camps for our partners, right? Only for our partner, your selected implementation partners, your partner is actually sending the architects to our boot camps, right? There's a 5-day very intensive boot camp. I can tell you it's not a sales boot camp. It's really how to do the project boot camp, right? What is going to be underneath the hood of our Dynamics product is really an intensive training, right, that we have done. For the past year, we have ran over more than 10 boot camps, right, all over the world at this point, right? Each quarter, we have a boot camp in Asia, EMEA, and US, right? We have been doing it for the last year. We have trained over 700 plus architects in the entire world in different partner organizations. So as you can see, these guys up there, right, they actually been with us for the past year. They attended our boot camp, right? They actually worked with the FastTrack team, the FastTrack Solution Architects, on all the customer engagements, right? Because of the dedication and then because of the work that they actually make our customers successful, that you can actually see that they are being recognized, right, by our leadership team. So James actually bringing it up on stage this morning. So I would like to actually give them a round of applause, right, to really do a good job for our customers. Right? So with that said, right, so I mean, this section is not about Darren, right? It's really about the architects, right, and how actually they have used and leveraged the information, right, that we share and how to make our customer, project engagement really successful, right? And now I'm just going to do a panel session, really talk to each one of them. Hopefully they share some of the information that you can actually grab and then go back to your engagement and you can actually make an impact and make a change to your project, right? That's really the goal. And then, after, a list of the questions I'm going to ask them, right? And then we're going to leave about 15 minutes for Q&A. So prepare your questions, anything that's related to your implementation, right? Hopefully it's not too technical, right? They can go technical if they want, but I don't know if you have enough time, right? So the thing here is like, we want to actually say, okay, you have some question related to implementation, how to best go forward. They can actually share the experience with us, right? So this session's about like how-tos, right? And how to actually get something to be successful on your customer engagement, right? It's a really interactive session, so I'm just going to be the moderator the entire session here, okay? Sounds good. So, all right, I'm just going to go get started. So I think that I'm going to actually introduce Mike Daring. Mike Daring is actually with Ernst & Young, EY, right? And he's been a solution architect and working on Dynamics CM for a long time. I know Mike since probably 10 years ago now. So he's been with Dynamics for 11 years, right? And then 7 years focusing as a solution architect on an engagement. I mean, you have done 3 FastTrack engagements with us, right? And then, yeah, I think that you gain quite a bit from your engagements, right? So, I mean, I think one of the things you take it back to your engagement, your customers, really application lifecycle management, right? So why don't you just actually share with the audience here and how you actually use that and why is it so important for the engagement, why it needs to be implemented, right?
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Darren. So to continue on, yeah, so application lifecycle management, that is a very large topic to try to chew off in a 5-minute time span, as you guys can imagine. So for me personally, after attending the boot camp, some kind of like key takeaways I took was that I was doing a lot of things kind of manually for my clients. Sure, we had internal builds and that sort of thing. But, I'd have like my release notes document and I would say, okay, I need to push this solution, I need to delete these fields, and I need to do this and do this and do this. So trying to take more of that and automate it. And if you have kind of a simple sort of, project that you're doing for a client, or maybe, you're internally working for your firm, if it's just you and you're the only configurer in there, you're the only developer inside of there, you may kind of say like, why do I need ALM? Like, I just basically am gonna do everything either in my dev environment. Maybe I'm just gonna do it directly in production. Maybe I forget sometimes to bring those things back over to dev. But it's as things get more complex, right? So it's as you kind of get challenged with multiple work streams concurrently, they need to happen at the same time. It's not just one individual now. Maybe it's multiple individuals that are kind of doing their own thing, but at the end of the day, they're all sort of going to the same end location. And that is actually what I kind of got challenged with starting this year, and when I started to try to apply some of the ALM topics that I had learned a little bit more about last year. So trying not to get too technical into it per Darren's request. I had a big write-up of like all these notes where I was like talking all our branching strategies and everything, but I will save you guys from that unless you want to talk to me afterward about it. But for me, one of the big things was actually starting to adopt Azure DevOps, which is a pretty fantastic tool. Not to be too much of a Microsoft fanboy, but we were doing before this, we had kind of like our own homegrown sort of like item management, requirement management system, actually baked out of Dynamics CRM itself. So I guess a pretty possibly impressive dog fooding sort of thing, right? But it didn't really do much for the project managers trying to like manage and see how things were going. For the client, they didn't really have any insight into it because it was our homegrown CRM situation that we had here. So when we kind of switched over to start using Azure DevOps, then we could start using tasks inside of there. We could kind of have like more like burn downs against it. We could have, what they have like user stories or whatever you want to term them in there. That then you could have the tasks tied against. You could then have your branches tied against those tasks. You could then start to automate things a bit better, right? So then when you flip one of those items, you can kind of like get a build start to get kicked off. It's kind of packaging things up for you. When we have these multiple work streams, we could then kind of start to have less of the like code freeze kind of situations, and still kind of like have the developers doing their thing, the testers doing their thing, the client doing their user acceptance testing, and then sort of like staging things before they ultimately go to the production environment. So that was a fairly large change from our side, is switching over to Azure DevOps and kind of being like a more cohesive team with the client and kind of involving them more in that process. And something else that I think just got released in April really is the kind of switch from you buy your organizations, right? You buy your sandboxes as you guys you need to do your kind of like breaking out from production down to like dev to your testing and whatever. So we have not personally been upgraded to this model yet, but it's something I'm actually really looking forward to, is to have the unlimited sandboxes plan, basically. So what you're paying for instead in that situation is you're not paying for the sandboxes themselves, you're paying for the storage that they're taking up, right? So this is something where I feel like there was a huge bottleneck in the past. I always felt awkward asking a client, like, hey, can I have another sandbox? And they're like, well, why do you need the 8th sandbox now? It's like, well, because this person's over here. So, it's something that kind of helps facilitate some of this, once again, like multiple work streams. You have all these different independent resources inside of here. People stepping on each other's toes less, right? If you guys are familiar, there's all these cool tools out there like the Solution Packager tool, things like that. Things that really having the unlimited organizations in there are really going to benefit from. So, just imagine, right, without going to my crazy branching strategies, but if you have multiple configurers, multiple developers working on this implementation, on this engagement, they can each have kind of like their own organization that they're working inside of. Then use that Solution Packager tool. That's packaging up the things they've been doing, sort of bringing that over here into the source control, right? Without saying like, oh, I accidentally got this guy's stuff inside of here, right? Or accidentally got, your configurations. You had a new field. I got that over here. So it kind of helps to once again facilitate the what I go for is making things less error prone, which is kind of like the key thing to ALM for me is if it's just me in there, I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be able to not step on my own toes and I'm going to be able to get this to production. Everything's going to be fine. But it's really once you start having more resources inside of there. You have tighter timelines for us. This client wanted to start releasing every 3 weeks. We were used to previously every 6 weeks, right? And once you get down to 3 weeks, it's kind of crazy. You're just bam, 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 right? You're going. Not to use like the dreaded word agile, but it's getting much closer to agile, right? Which is always kind of a scary situation. But those are kind of like some of the bigger points, and then you have I'm not going to go into detail with all of them, but then if you have these unlimited organizations and you're worried about consumption, now you need some sort of seeding strategy, right, to kind of like take those minimal copies from your production environment and sort of like make them useful, right? No one's going to benefit from having a blank organization to do their work inside of. You need to have your leads inside of there. You need to have your contacts inside of there, your companies inside of there. So then you have to kind of devise that sort of seeding strategy where you take like a sample of your data and kind of put it into those environments, but ultimately you don't want to consume too much storage, right? And so I think that's, like I said, I can kind of get into more detail if anyone's interested after the fact, if you guys want to talk a little bit further about this. But that's kind of like the kind of key ALM takeaways that I had from the session.
Thank you, Mike. So I mean, the key takeaway, application lifecycle management is important in your project, right? I think the key takeaway is DevOps, right? If you don't have that strategy, please actually go, take some time, spend some time, revisit it, right, on your application lifecycle management. Set the foundation, set the start right, and then it's going to be really smooth, like moving forward, right? That's going to be investment in your project early on, right? Microsoft is going to actually make it easier and easier for you, right? Especially when we going to be focusing on a tooling perspective, right? There's going to be more coming, right? There's going to be ALM sessions throughout the summit. You can attend definitely, right? Okay, now I'm going to move on to like Christopher, right? Christopher, has been with Orbis, right? He's actually our partner out in Germany, and then he's been working with us for 11 years as experience with CRM ERP implementations, right? 10 years as a solution architect, right? You've been working with our EMEA team over there to actually help serve our EMEA customers, right? 2 fast-track engagements, right? And then I think something that you mentioned to me is that, hey, you know what? It's actually understand the release plan, how to actually plan your testing is really critical for you, right? So why don't you just share with the audience and what you learn and why you actually so important to understand it?
Thank you, Darren. What I'd like to talk of today is a little bit the platform updates, which means since last year, continuous updating, continuous deployment. Why I'd like to talk about that, because a lot of our customers were scared about that, because before they had it, they can flip the switch by themselves and say that, okay, if Microsoft is updating the system whenever they want, how can I test and how can I make sure that my system is still working the next day? So, and what is important to understand, and this is what I experienced last year when I went to Frankfurt to the bootcamp, is the strategy Microsoft has with its continuous deployments, and in general, there's no upgrade anymore. I think this is important. So there's not a major release that is deployed anytime. So you have continuous updates that are deployed in general every week, every 2 weeks. Small pieces, also platform updates, but also they are deploying functionality. So, and there is, in general, there's a separation between those platform updates and the wave of releases by means of functionality. So what is called in general April and October release. So in general, when they update the platform, they update also the functionalities or the deploy functionalities, and but they are not activated. So what's important to know there, you can get the information what will be contained in a release pretty early. So I think the next information, what the October release will contain, will be delivered by Microsoft in July, right? So I think it's released July. And then the customer or the partner can activate those functionalities by August to prepare their organization for the new functionalities. So, but because it's only small updating, small functionality, they can prepare for it, and in October then those features will be activated automatically. How is Microsoft doing it? Microsoft defined stations beginning at the internal testing station where the release train starts. They do then, I think for two weeks, they do internal testing. And after that, the release train is going to a station called Canary. That's for testing reasons, so where you can test the new update pretty early. And then they have regional stations a little bit ordered by number of users impacted, so that they will not impact the bigger stations early. And yes, in general, you have, I think, Japan, South America, you have pretty early, so they receive the update pretty early, and then you have the bigger stations, Europe and North America at latest. And as I heard from Sean, I think the government cloud is then at a pretty late stage, so for example. What happens if a a bug is deployed. It happens. I saw it. So then Microsoft has a chance to define if it's a minor bug that will not harm the system really. So the release train can go through all the stations, and they will not do anything for the current release train. But if it's a medium or major bug, they have two possibilities. They can either implement a hotfix that can be rolled out with a current release train, and then the subsequent stations after the issue was faced are not impacted by that. And if it's really a major bug and they cannot fix it on time, so that they do not want to roll it out to subsequent stations, because also then the productive systems are harmed, they can also stop a release train and say, okay, this week I will not roll out this to the, for example, Europe or North America station. We will fix it in one of the later release trains and then roll it out with a bug fix. In general, knowing this, for us it was possible to set up a strategy, how to adapt to Microsoft strategies, and there are I think 3 to 4 things I would like to mention here. So one thing is, because Microsoft is roll out updates every week, it's best if you can set up a regular testing, making test plans, detailed testing, especially your core processes should be tested regularly, ideally once a week or something like that. And because it's cost intensive, you also have to should care for automated testing. So there are frameworks like EasyRepro or something like that, where Microsoft is also delivering some templates which you can use for the core processes. And I think this is key, to test regularly, set up automated tests, that it's not that cost intensive that it would be if you have to let people do it. So, and this is key. Then another thing is stay supported. So I know in the past on premise, you know, okay, the next 2 years I will not upgrade to another system and I can do unsupported stuff. So we did not recommend this to our customers, but some say, okay, I have it in my hand, I know what the risks are, I want to do that. But this is not longer possible, because Microsoft cannot care for your unsupported stuff, and so it could break your system. So what is working on Friday could be damaged on Monday. And so you should stay supported, and with all the functionalities, all the platform Microsoft is offering now, I think less unsupported stuff is needed anyhow. So you can use the functionalities Microsoft offerings to you. And last point that is pretty important for this is stay informed. So get the messages you receive via the message center, for example, in the admin portal. So you will receive the messages when update will be deployed, when there is a small maintenance frame which you have to take care of, and go to the message center, read the release notes, and get all the sources that are available, and try to get all the information. And if you do not know where the sources are, so just ask the FastTrack Solution Architects. Yeah. So that's from.
Thank you, Christopher. So I mean, I think the important theme here is our platform is going to be continuously updating, right, every week. So I'll release our new features behind the scenes, release our new features behind the scenes, release our new features behind the scenes being turned off, right? So, I mean, a lot of customers will be surprised. Hey, you know what, we're releasing, 9.0 with the latest, right? When we actually do the upgrade, hey, you're live, right? There's, oh, you already did your upgrade? So some of our customers kind of surprised, right? But I think that it's important that you understand our release approach when working with the FastTrack architect, right? And then also, right, and really, do some early testing. So there's tools available, there's templates available. You can actually set it up, proactively do a testing on your build, on your solution. That's gonna be critical to be the success of the project, right? You need to take some time to actually do some automated testing setup, but once you set it up, right, everything is gonna be a lot easier when you're continuously releasing, your solution to production, okay? Right, all right, I'm gonna actually move on to Steven, right? Steven's with Power Objects, right? It's been CRM for 5 years, right? And then, 4 years been a solution architect focusing on dynamic CRM, right? And then it's been actually done 2 FastTrack engagements with us, right, for the past year. So Steven, I think that, one of the topic you really a lot of customers is actually not even thinking of, right? But it's important. They put this lack of time into it, is security, right? Tell us about the security, right? Architecture foundation is one of the important things, right? In the architecture is security. So why don't you just tell us about it?
Well, thank you very much, Darren, for that introduction and for the 2 hours to talk about security and dynamics. So really, security is important. And I started, as we were planning for this engagement and speaking about it, I was talking about what am I passionate about, what came out of the boot camp. And security came up, and I latched onto that, and then I thought, how am I going to be able to not water it down, but get it succinct enough to make sense that we can all walk away with something. And the phrasing I came up with, so this is my coined phrase I'm going for, is no matter when you start thinking about security in your implementations, you're thinking about it too late. And the reason why I say that then is, well, wouldn't we start talking about it right away when we first start? Yes, we should start about it. As a partner, if we come in, we can start talking about security very early in our engagement. But that's when we get there. It's possible that we could have started thinking about security before the partner even got involved. And I'm very careful about saying that things are robust, because I realize there are different parts of dynamics, right? We know some are more robust than others, and I'm careful about using that word. Security is the area that I have felt is truly robust within dynamics. I have not truly come across a scenario where we can't work through it some way, somehow. The sooner we start thinking about it, the better. So I've worked with a lot of engagements with financial services, worked in the medical areas, where it's very important to have that segmented security and being able to say, these are the people who can only see these things, but they can only see this area, but there's a couple things over here that I want them to see. Or I want them to be able to, these people can see everything in the system except for this random little piece over there. And the sooner we start thinking about that, the sooner we start mapping it out, the more successful it's going to be in the system overall. Like Darren mentioned, I've been doing dynamics for 5 years, so I have knowledge going back to 2011. Working at Power Objects, we've got people going back even way before that, so I get to hear the stories. But I think, too, when I was first learning about dynamics, and there was a lot of concerns, right, around, for the technical people, around POA table, and the concerns on-prem of, well, I can do this with my POA table to make it run faster. And the nice thing that's happened now as we've approached version 9 is the POA table is no longer the boogeyman. So if you, as a customer, if you start hearing those concerns, know that it's something that we need to be aware of, but it's not something that should be keeping us up at night anymore either. And the piece that kind of goes into that early on thinking is, do you want to have a system where you're starting from everyone's going to have access? We're looking for that 360-degree view across our different divisions. We want everyone to be able to see that customer. Like, that's a great starting point. That gives you an idea of where to start building your system. But other organizations will be, and it can be in the same vertical, they'll be the exact opposite. They'll say, the way we do things, my division, they can see the customer name, and that's going to be about it. Everything else off that customer is going to be unique by division. And being able to plan those things in advance is very important. One of the other features that is very helpful that a lot of people use now is when you're doing queries, being able to do the hierarchy and being able to say, oh, well, if I'm at this parent account, then I can see information down below, or I can see activities created by my team members, and that's the important ones, right? Like, if I'm a manager and I want to see what my team is working on, I can go into an advanced find and I can run a report to see that. The trick on that, the caveat, is in order to have that kind of a view, you also have to have hierarchy security enabled. If you try running that without hierarchy security enabled, it's going to prevent you from having that kind of view. Those features have been tied together. So again, asking those kinds of questions early, how do you want people to be viewing your system? What do the managers need to be able to see? What does their access need to look like? That's going to change how you end up setting up the system overall. I think from the boot camp then, the really technical layer that was interesting for me is learning about how things like the POA table and the queries that get run to understand security on the back end, how those have been tuned over the years, and the power that is now available to, especially if you're on a FastTrack program, being able to work with the Microsoft solution architect and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Let them know in advance. Let them know, hey, we're going to be doing an engagement where security is going to be very complicated. And they can then work with you. And again, it's all about that partnership to make sure that, hey, if there's something that's a setting or something that's on the backside that they need to work on within the Azure servers, they can do that. That's kind of my big takeaways.
Thank you very much, Stephen. So, security is important, just like building a house, right? Security modeling for your engagement, right? That's one of the architecture foundation components, right, that we need to look at, review, need to be really careful on. I can tell you based on all of the experience, if you screw up the foundation, just like your house has screwed up the foundation, guess how much it's gonna actually cost you, right, to really rebuild that house. So security modeling is very critical, and early on, trying to get it right, understanding the requirement, get it right, so you have a good foundation. I can tell you that if you had that right, doesn't matter, don't screw up the project, but, if you actually have functionality, things that you probably can redo easily, but however, the architecture foundation component like security is screwed up, it's gonna be messy for you to fix. You might have to redo the entire project. I have multiple customer engagements, right, that we have to redo. Right. Okay, let's move on to Thorsten. Thorsten is actually from Germany. He's the same partner, Orbis, right? And then he's been actually implementing CRM, ERP for 12 years, right? It's been, in other words, a solution architect, 18 years, right? Been working with us on 2 FastTrack engagements. For all the customers, right, that's in the room, right, even partners, right? You have, especially our Dynamics platforms growing bigger and bigger, you're gonna have customers that's really a global customer, right? So, when you're actually doing these global customers and you do international rollouts, right, what do you have to look for? What do you need to be careful on, right? So, Thorsten, why don't you just share some of the experience that you have on, international rollouts for us? It's an important topic.
Yeah, it's true, thanks. I want to share some aspects I experienced last couple of years with my customers in regards to international rollouts. And first of all, I have to say, traveling around the world for customers ends up as an intercultural balancing act. Yeah? That could be in sense of positive or negative. And why is that the case? Yeah? We have a lot of challenges. First of all, the biggest one is language and culture itself. Yeah? Meaning, I found out in regards to language, you talk about within a workshop with a customer about some things, and after 2 days you found out it was same, but different, let's say. Same for the culture. Yeah? In addition to that, you have to travel through different time zones, which ends up in exhausting travel times. I experienced that also within my current project, traveled from Germany to Japan, back to Germany, over here, back to Germany, and so on and so on. Yeah? And that may for 8 months weekly. Was, at the beginning, I have to say, was really fascinating. In between, it was difficult, and at the end, it was really exhausting. Yeah? What else? May you found out during a global rollout or in a global project, you have a lot of government restrictions or even company policies, which are completely underestimated. Yeah? Most often, the customer itself underestimates the impacts and the effort that is driven by, or could be also driven by the partner, that it is basic for us, but not basic for the customer itself. Yeah? Or also in that sense, most often, sorry for all the customers, customers stuck very often in their former implementations. Yeah? That means they do not consider, and they are not able to know a future-oriented design. Yeah? Or suddenly organizational changes happens during a project, as well as unplanned interfaces. Most often in Asia, I found even human interfaces. Yeah? Or a lot of different systems suddenly appears. We never know about it. So what needs to be done in order to avoid such challenges? You have to make a good planning. Yeah? And that means you have to onboard and all the relevant people from all the necessary departments in order to avoid some surprises against company policies or government restrictions and so on, as well as the setup a correct project setup, a proper project team, even from your subsidiaries. Yeah? Also, suitable tools and the right methodology needs to be planned, proper planned, as my colleagues already mentioned. Yeah? Beginning with the ALM testing, security issues, whatever. Evaluate all dependencies during the project. That is really key. Yeah, and do not accept each requirement immediately. Leveraging Dynamics 365 updates, that is also key. Yeah, it could be an advantage and it could be also a disadvantage, depending to the timeline when you want to roll out. Different countries, or you have a big bang or whatever. So what are some success factors to avoid all those surprises? I pointed out it's a future-oriented design that's key. Also involve Microsoft FastTrack. At an early point in time, it's also key, and with my current customer, they helped us a lot, really, and that's really, really important. Evaluate all new requests. You have to be available 24/7 for global customers, reduce complexity, and check all the traits. Thank you.
Thank you, Thorsten. So international rollout, right? The message is clear. Project management is one, right? And then I can give you another tip, right? If you're having a global project, do your development in US. Okay, you know, because I mean, there's related to it. There's release stations, right? We update it, right? So if you're going to be on an earlier version, you cannot backward actually port the solution over to the later version of the product. So if you have a global engagement, your development should be at the last station, right? If you don't deploy the US, maybe EMEA, right? EMEA, make it your station, right? Understand your requirements globally, right? Especially, right? Let's say if error bits, right, it's going to be from right to left, not from left to right, right? Those are the unique requirement if you're going to customers globally when you do your projects, right, is really important, right? So, you know, all the tips that Thorsten actually shared is really critical for the success of the project. And then there's a lot more details to it, right? And then I think that is critical for you to take, you know, back to your engagement if you do an international engagement, right? So I'm going to move to Sean, right? Sean brings us of a lot of experience, right? 23 years, okay? And then, you know, as a solution architect, right? And then he's been actually working on our government engagements, right? So I think that, you know, this is a US Business Application Summit, right? I mean, you know, some of you might be engaged in a government project. He's going to actually he will bring a wealth of knowledge and experience, right, to us on how to engage with like government customer, GCC, right? And then for Sean, he's been working with us for many engagements, right? And then at least 2 fast-track engagements with us. So maybe Sean, I'm going to actually turn it to you, and then you can actually share some of your wisdoms and experience on the GCC area, right?
That's great. GCC, Government Community Cloud. Raise a hands, anybody that's implementing or is a customer in GCC. Great. The GCC is a special data centers that are set up across Microsoft. They meet a very strict security protocol to be able to have those applications in that GCC data center. It keeps data separate from the commercial cloud. The development on it, once you get access, is not a whole lot different. There are features that aren't available in the GCC because each feature that gets released by Microsoft has to go through what's called a FedRAMP security protocol to make sure that it is not going to leak data where it shouldn't be leaked and so forth. So that's the first tip, is to understand what is available and what isn't. There is a website that you can search. If you just go Dynamics GCC, you'll find it in the list, and you can see those different things. But the thing that I work with on the engagements that were in FastTrack was with a department in the federal government, and the lesson learned that I had there is that even within a department, your customers can vary. In one case, our customer is actually responding to disasters, and you can imagine going down to a hurricane area in Puerto Rico or in Miami, or going to wildfires in California. They get volunteers throughout the department to go to those sites. So they are learning the application that they're going to be using to track those cases and incidents, basically the day one that they arrive on ground. So we have to design those interfaces to be very simple, easy to use, quick to use, and in some cases without a whole lot of connectivity. The second group that we work with is more of a power user resource center. They're using USD, the Unified Service Desk, and those are a different group. They are full-time answering calls, responding to emails. They know the system up and down. They know it better than I do. They are looking to try to keep up while the person's calling them. And one of the most valuable things that I had as the solution architect on that project is to actually listen and watch them do their work. It's an amazing experience to understand how much data they need to gather in seconds, how they need to keep up with the customer that's actually asking the problem, doing searches on the Knowledgebase articles, doing searches on customers. All those things really need to be streamlined in those cases. And then the third set of group that we worked with in that same FastTrack engagement are the public. We developed through the Dynamics portal a way for them to search for the answers through knowledge articles, and there we needed to have the answers come up that they were looking for. So when they searched for water well, they didn't want to learn about something else. They wanted to learn about water wells. So we had to learn about the search engines both within the portal, but then also for our CSR agents that were searching themselves for those. There's two different search engines there, in case you don't know that. So you have to be very, very careful and utilize the fields that are available to you. What my role as solution architect that I think was major learning step for me is how you have to be an influencer. In a large enterprise organization that we deal with, you are not in control of Azure. You are not in control of SharePoint. You are not in control of Office 365. You have to step in and become an influencer. You have to understand what you need in those, because when you come to them with the ask, they don't know what Dynamics 365 is in a lot of cases. And you have to teach them that here's how we utilize those different applications so that we can get those things done. And that's where the FastTrack engineers come into play too, is because they have FastTrack engineers that do work with the Azure team. They do work with the Office 365 team. So I've utilized them a lot to make those connections, build those relationships. And it's always better to build a relationship positively early on versus burning a bridge, because everybody has a job to do and you're asking for their time. The other thing that I do is look at the vision that we're going towards. We have a vision with our project. We want it to meet these different goals. And a lot of times the requirements that come in, and you mentioned this, aren't always the requirements that are going towards that goal. You have to sometimes push back that, okay, that's a great requirement, but it's not part of this vision that we all agreed to at the beginning of the project, or that we've reviewed every month with you. These requirements need to be put into that place so that we keep moving towards that vision. And that's again where we work with Microsoft, because Microsoft has a great vision of where they want to take the products. The Power Platform is a great strategy, and in the government cloud we have to wait for it a little while to get all in there, but we really want to utilize that because that's going towards what we want to go towards. And sometimes the client might not realize that, and that's where we have to spend time with them to really get them on board with that vision and strategy. The other thing that I do as part of that solution architect role is really access what the impact of those requirements are going to be. They want everything, but they don't want it to be slow. They don't want to add clicks to those power users that are entering the data. Trust me, every agent on the phone knows how many clicks it takes to create a customer. Every agent knows how many clicks it takes to link a knowledge article to that service request. And if you add one more click to that, that doesn't seem like a lot, but if you add just one more second to every service request and you're dealing with 5,000 service requests every week, you've just added 5,000 seconds to their job overall. And usually you end up adding more seconds, and it really adds up to where you've all of a sudden impacted them for hours. They take now 25% more time to enter those 5,000 service requests and to resolve them. And that is a huge deal to them. They are under a lot of pressure to not only get through them quickly, but to answer them correctly. So those are some of the takeaways that I take from a solution architect.
Thank you, Sean. So it's awesome, right? So when you actually work with government customers, right, it's actually our government customers, right? Our government is actually thinking of you and I, right? It's really important. As you as a partner, you are the influencer of our government customers. As you sitting here as a customer, you are the ones being selected to influence your organization and how to leverage some of the Power Platform components, right, to make an impact in your organization. Converting some of the paper-based, right, processes into automation using Power Platform, using Dynamics, I think is really critical in the keys, right? So I think with all of us, it's going to be a community, like James said, early on this morning, right? We're building a community to enable our partners, enable our customers to do more at their workplace, right? So these architects, right, has been working closely with the FastTrack program, right, FastTrack team, right? I think that, is thankful to have these architects. You can actually see more of these architects being recognized in the upcoming months that working with FastTrack and working with you, right, as partners and customers, right? So with that said, I think that is Tom. We have still, about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes for an open Q&A. So I think that whatever questions that you have related to your engagement in the project, architects can answer. Okay, so the question is how to engage with FastTrack team and how to actually, especially on-premise to on the cloud, and what's going to be our engagement criteria. So I'm going to actually keep it really simple. There's a link on the website. You can go check. No, I'm just kidding. To answer your question, right, to actually qualify for our FastTrack program there's a seat requirement, right? Minimum 250 seats, right? That's going to be qualified for our FastTrack engagements, right? So if you have that seat, your Microsoft account team or your partner itself can go to our link. We have a link for nomination. So you nominate as a customer that, we're going to actually start an engagement, right? And then as one of the leads in the FastTrack team, I'm one of them, right? And we're going to review which region was customer, and then understanding your project plan, your start time, and then we're going to assign an architect and start working with you. So regards to on-premise to online, right? So on-premise to online, we don't have the 250 seats requirement. So let's say if you have an on-premise customer currently, you have 100 seats, 150 seats, right? And then you want actually FastTrack help. We have our tooling that take your database, right? Go through the tooling, right? And then put it in online. So that's the program that is under FastTrack is managed, that you can actually nominate a customer. If you are a customer right now in the room, want to actually migrate online, you are looking for ways to put your database in the cloud, right? And then that's the program you can nominate yourself for, and then partner you can nominate your customer for, right? For the normal FastTrack engagement, I talk about like the different touch points, the workshops, right? And even though OP to OL, on-premise to online, we will have it still, right? But there's normal FastTrack engagements on your solution design review, understand your architecture, right? Those are the things that the minimum starting point is 250 seats for a FastTrack engage project. So of course, when you have a partner, you have an architect. We're going to assign an architect working with the partners very closely together, right? So FastTrack is not a replacement of your delivery partner. Just want to make sure that I'm clear, right? We are there to provide architectural guidance, so right, making sure our partners, right, and you are architecting the solution, correctly, and making sure that you are successful on our platform. Does that answer your question? Okay, good. Any other questions?
Mine is a implementation question. When we customize create entities, we have the choice of creating custom activities or custom entity. And looking back in for implementation that I've done, we've never used custom activities. And in my current implementation, current project, I'm actually considering doing it because I see some pros like, as you know, they're synchronized inside Outlook as task and make it easier for the user to deal with them. But I see some disadvantages such as they're all going to be in the same place as all the other activities. And I'm just scared that it's just going to take the place of, appointments and phone calls instead of actually being properly structured as they usually would be in custom entities in related views. So I'm just wondering, in your implementation, have you ever gone this way?
So it's going to depend, right? So you already called out some things that I think you were looking at as negatives, which actually may be beneficial to certain people, right? Having this entity appear in an all activities view, some people may be like, sweet, now I'm looking in one place versus like hopping around to different areas inside the sitemap to find my different records, right? One other thing I'd be concerned about is the security model, right? So that custom activity that you create is going to be governed by the same security model as every other activity inside your environment. Also, when you're making custom fields and things like that, when you are using that all activities view, that's going to give you the base fields on activity pointer or whatever, right? It's not going to be everything. So just kind of like, it seems like you're thinking down the right route, and that's the whole thing about being a solution architect, right? Is we don't necessarily have the solutions, we don't have all the answers, but we have the options, right? And we have the experience of like how things have gone in the past. So ultimately, you will make the right decision. It's just a matter of like making sure you vet it first, right? And making sure that I don't know if you're doing this for another client or you're doing it for your internal system, but it's whatever you guys are gonna feel comfortable with, and you've kind of vetted through the entire process and you understand what's gonna happen when you go down this route. At the end of the day, you can always switch, right? So if you're like, well, custom activity, we tried it out, it wasn't really working for us because the security model maybe burned us, which, as Stephen brought up, is kind of a critical thing, right? And I could easily see that going awry. Maybe then you switch it to a custom entity instead. But then you lose the ability to have it as a task inside of Outlook, right? So it's kind of just like weighing the pros and cons, which sounds like you're already doing. I mean, to me, it sounds like you're already on the right track. I don't know if that helped at all or not.
Just to add into that, I think the questions you're asking and that you're thinking through are exactly the right ones. The other one that comes to my mind is remembering the fact that you're regarding for whatever the activity is. Does it truly have the ability to regard to multiple other entities? One of the things that I've gone through is, as an example, stuff of like net promoter scores, right? And surveys of, is that truly an activity? Because as in some cases, that survey may actually apply to an opportunity. It could apply to a contact. It could apply to an account. In other situations, you end up with an activity that it's an activity, we call it an activity, but all it really is this one thing that I only do when I'm doing an opportunity, and it's a site survey that goes out. Well, if that's the case, then I probably don't need to use it as an activity because I'm not taking advantage of all that other stuff that comes along with the regarding. Does that help?
Thank you, Steve.
Do you have any sort of guidance around performance and scalability? In terms of sort of, and at least you want to sort of even things like sort of you're putting up a sort of a custom portal, that type of thing. I've heard some people who've had some significant issues, and I'm wondering if there's any sort of guidance around performance.
I can answer a little bit. It's a huge ask in my area in government cloud. Number one, Microsoft works really hard to scale. We were having some issues, and it was more of a latency issue. And so they actually moved our tenant to a different data center so that we were closer to the actual call center. So they work really hard to answer those questions and to meet those needs. But we also, as a solution architect, I think Fiddler is your friend. I think the different verbose logging that comes with the product, like on USD, there's a configuration file and you can turn on verbose logging and see what's going on. And you're looking at every trip that you make to the server, and you're making sure that you're not making too many. You're trying to do those cache data, and a lot of that is for free, meaning that Microsoft has brought that in there, but we've done some ourselves. And in a lot of cases, we've also denormalized the database. We don't want to have those users looking up contacts in the way that the Microsoft does, so we denormalize a little bit and cut some corners so that when you're entering data in the sense that we are, that performance is being looked at. But we look at it almost on every release that we do to make sure that we don't regress on the performance. But I do think Microsoft does most of the hard work for us, and the FastTrack team really is responsive to it. I mean, I can email my FastTrack solution architect, and he's in touch with either the operations center within minutes, or he's with his development team within minutes, and making sure that we are answering those needs. It doesn't always answer exactly how we want it to be, but we learn very quickly how to manage it. I don't know if I answered the question.
Yeah, so I can actually add on to it, right? So I think that most important thing as a customer or partner, when you actually come to a performance, right, related problems or issues and guidance, right, one of the things I want to warn you is don't base on feelings. It has to be based on facts, okay? So, I mean, you're going to be actually coming to, hey, you know what, this thing is really slow, okay? And then what I feel like slow. Don't feel it, right? You need to actually give me the numbers to really back it up, right? So first of all, you need to actually understand the your baseline. That's really important. That's number one. I would recommend that you need to understand your baseline. Then you were able to actually tune, right? Even though we're going to do adjustments, what's going to be the number of seconds we want to hit, right? Either that Microsoft will tune it for you, or something related to the solution that you try to build is slow. If in that case, Portal, there's a way we can actually scale out to a really, really big user base. I mean, I think that we did for one of our customers, 50,000 concurrent users, right? Yeah. So the thing here is like baseline, right? And then you need to actually one of the things, not trying to sell you guys anything, engage Microsoft. There's a service for load testing and benchmark testing, right? Our premier services team, they will do that. They will actually work with you to really script out a scenario, understanding the load that you're going to actually put in a given period, right? And then, they can actually model that load, right? And then, based on that, we can actually tell you, hey, you know what? With this many of users, this is the load that we're going to generating. And then, you probably, Microsoft, have to do something for you, right, on your side. Or potentially, some of your services needs to be, tuned as well. Third, another thing is a solution checker, right? I mean, for Portal, there's a Portal solution checker as well, right? To make sure your optimization is actually optimized, right? And I think that's another tip, that if you're going to be actually running performance related to it, right, it's really that check your customization, check your configuration to make sure it's optimized. So Microsoft providing the tool for you to understand it. So I don't know if that actually give you enough tips. We can actually talk more. Yeah.
I would just say be cautious of spinning your wheels too much, right? At a certain point in time, there may actually be a platform issue, right? Real world scenario for me, I had a client who, actually part of the FastTrack team, but I had some plug and tracing enabled, and we were looking in there and like, well, how come sometimes when I save a contact record, it takes half a second? Sometimes it takes 10 seconds, and it doesn't seem to be a caching thing. It doesn't seem to be something like that. We're like, oh, it's SQL cache and whatever. That's why it's so much faster. It was just random delays that were added onto there. I was mulling over this forever, right? I was looking at our plugins. I was putting trace statements inside of there. I was like, it's not our plugins. Like, it's taking like a millisecond inside of our code. I involved the FastTrack team. Overnight, they flipped a bit in the database, and then boom, everything was just like split-second contact saves, right? So there's going to be like some due diligence that you'll have to do, but definitely, I mean, if you have the minimum seat requirements, right, involve Microsoft, because they have the visibility into that database. They have all this telemetry inside of there, right? You don't necessarily have access to this, and they are a great avenue to kind of like help you troubleshoot things. It's impossible for you to do it. You don't have the visibility to see it yourself.
That's awesome. Thank you. Another question?
During the pre-sales process, customers want to know how big is their database going to be and what is it going to grow over time. Do you guys have any tools or tricks that you use to try and calculate that? Oh, so the customer says, how many gigabytes do I need for my system over the next 5 years? And in general, it's like, well, I can't see what the table is, how big all the tables are. So I'll base it off my existing customer set and kind of try and work it out. But is there any techniques you guys use?
Any one of you? AI is the answer. Yeah, we're working on that though. Yeah. No, on the serious note, it really depends. Depends on the solution. Depends on how much data that you're gonna log and audit, right? And then however, the thing here is the model we go into is that you can actually see your premier storage space, and this is a file storage space and log space. I mean, if you're in your administration, power admin panel, right? You have a capacity report. It actually tells you. Then I usually do the projection looking at the existing system. And then if you're going to be fresh new, it's going to be difficult. But if you have an existing system, you can actually do a prediction, right? And then, hey, you know what? This is how much data in a day that you generated, or maybe in a week and in a month they generated an increase in the database size. Then you can actually do the projection pretty accurately, like within plus or minus 10%. I would say that that's going to be a recommendation. Okay, for archiving, may you want to talk about it?
I was gonna say, like, consider, I guess, if you need that data inside of CRM, right? Like, offloading data is not a bad strategy. I mean, on top of like, certain people need audit in there, I guess, for compliance reasons, right? But do you really need 10 years of audit trails for all this data? Maybe, maybe not. I mean, it's pretty easy to clean up the audit inside of Dynamics. Audit tends to be pretty bloated. Another thing, is like system jobs, right? I go in there all the time and I see, 20 gigs of system jobs. Okay, well, I probably don't care about those anymore, right? And clean those things up. I don't tend to see a lot of like actual entities taking up a ton of my storage. But I mean, if you're going back to 2013, maybe if you have a very wide entity, tons of columns on it, and just tons of entries inside of that table, maybe you do run into that situation. But like I said, I mean, if they're using it for reporting, maybe offload it, right? If someone's actually in there doing advanced find or looking at a 2013 record constantly every single day, then okay, I guess it needs to be inside your system. But if it's like a once a year kind of like refresher of, well, what did I do in 2013 or something like that, right? Maybe it just lives off somewhere and they have a nice little report that services it for them, but doesn't really need to be that live data.
Yeah, I mean, one last question.
Okay, one last question. Thank you.
I have a development question. How to show or hide fields in a section in the form based on security rules? Show or hide fields without coding.
Okay, so show and hide. You want to show and hide fields inside of the
Section based on security rule.
Okay.
Without coding.
With what?
Without coding.
Without coding?
Yeah.
First step, hire a developer. And now we can do coding.
Yeah, I'm a developer and I did JavaScript coding for that.
So the next piece to it would be, hey, Microsoft, as we're expanding business rules, when do I get to start showing and hiding full sections as well as implement the security?
I'd say maybe consider field level security if you actually physically need to hide it, or if it can just be kind of abstracted out with a little asterisk or something. That can be security based. Kinda. You have to assign the profiles of the people that can see it.
Yeah, but the field level security is only for the advanced find or any other form. But inside the section, I'm asking section. Right. Yeah, that one.
It'll be read only or obfuscated or whatever inside of that section as well on the form if you have the field level security applied.
But it won't hide it.
Yeah, you're going to see it, but then, like you said, hire a developer. They'll write like the simplest line of JavaScript in the world, and it'll hide it for you. It's a very simple ask. Like you're involving a developer for like 15 minutes for that. So sometimes I would say don't be so scared of embracing little bits of code, right? Because those are going to be easy for you to maintain. It's kind of when you get like super complex, and that's when you start to consider, do I need a developer to be doing this, or do I need to rethink this? But that's a very, very simple, straightforward ask.
Okay.
Now, when you ask, maybe you can create a form which is security based on the security role, which not contains a section. So this is maybe an idea. So having the discussion could be a solution.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much for attending this session. Thank you, the architects. All right, hopefully you can gain something out of it. And thank you, have fun, during the summit. Thank you.